to the 2025 NSAA State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. State baseball broadcasts are powered by Game Day Men's Health, Max Tan, Doane University, Raising Cane's, and the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Now, calling all the action, here's Nick Sainert.
Welcome in and happy Saturday morning from Tal Anderson Field in Omaha, Nebraska, ahead of Class B action here in the 2025 State Baseball Tournaments. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman alongside for game 1 of 4 on a Saturday. Up first, it's the number 1 seed in Class B, the bracket, Omaha Skutt Catholic against the 8-seeded Hastings Tigers. Going to be a good one. It was a really good day of baseball on Friday. We saw Lincoln East, Millard South, Millard North, and Elkhorn South all prevail yesterday. Those 4 teams advanced to the winter bracket in Class A action and will play on Monday afternoon. The Monday morning games will feature the losers in that Class A bracket in Papillion, La Vista, Millard West. It was also Papillion, La Vista South, and Kearney. So those 4 teams play a little earlier on Monday, and the loser of those 2 games rather on Monday morning will go home after a quick appearance in the 2025 Class A state tournament. But like I said, Class B action today, 4 games on deck. Up first, it's Omaha Skutt Catholic and the Hastings Tigers. A lot of notable names on both sides, but especially for Skutt Catholic. And it starts on the mound, Austin Orman and Jace Ziola.
Husker commit Jace Ziola, in fact. This kid is a stud, Nick. His numbers on the year, pretty darn impeccable. He has a 3-1 record, an ERA of 2.2. Oh, and he can swing the bat a little bit. Yeah. 19 out of 57. That's just a guy who's around, right? Dylan Van Dyke, Joe Kaliga, other names that come to mind. Not to mention the star power that they lost. It's not a rebuild. It's usually a reload for Skutt Catholic. Yeah, Skutt Catholic has had a really strong year in terms of state championship appearances, and we'll see if Skutt Catholic, the number 1 seed in Class B's bracket, can continue that here on the baseball diamond. We'll come back in just a few short moments with the first pitch ahead of Skutt Catholic and the Hastings Tigers here from Tal Anderson Field on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, it's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doane.edu/apply.
When daily energy fades and your drive just isn't what it used to be, Game Day Men's Health helps you step back into top form. Game Day Men's Health is one of the country's fastest growing clinics, and they focus on men's wellness, providing customized solutions with professionalism and privacy in mind. Testosterone optimization, weight management, vitamin injections, and shockwave therapy are just a few of the many things they offer. Restore your energy and rediscover confidence with the help of Game Day Men's Health, because every man deserves to feel his best every day. Visit them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com today or in person at one of their 2 locations in Omaha.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time, which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Tal Anderson Field. here in Omaha, the home of the Omaha Mavericks. It's our final day here at Tal Anderson Field before all the games that we'll have on the station next week take place at the home of the Omaha Storm Chasers in Papillion at Warner Park. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman alongside with you for game 1 of 4 today. First one up, it's Skutt Catholic against the Hastings Tigers. Want to thank our sponsors before we get rolling here. Doane University, the NDOT Highway Safety Office, Game Day Men's Health, Raising Cane's, Max Tan, and Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach. All right, so here at first pitch, Austin Orman, 53 degrees. There's a hefty wind. Yesterday, it was blowing towards right center field. It actually somewhat shifted that way here in the last 10 minutes or so, but yet coming 17 miles an hour towards that first base dugout. Wind's kind of blowing in. We might not see a whole lot of long balls today.
We didn't yesterday. We saw a couple drives in the Millard South game. Kearney had a ground rule double as well. But, Nick, the wind was really a factor in the last game of the night last night. I think back to the late inning as Elkhorn South was trying to get some insurance runs on the board. 9-hole hitter Cam Cooper skied one. It probably went 150 feet up in the air and maybe 30, 40 feet down the baseline. It was a typical routine infield pop-up, but Kearney's second baseman, Talon Lewis, came from the edge of the dirt all the way to the baseline, still couldn't make the catch, and Cam Cooper ended up with an infield double.
Omaha Skutt Catholic will be wearing their home white uniforms as Jace Ziola skips his way out to the bump. White uniforms with, it looks like, green letters and numbers. And, yes, green lettering and numbering with the black hats and the Skyhawk across the top of the hat, while Hastings in their road black uniforms, black numbers, black letters with a white trim around each numeral and letter. As we are getting ready for a 10:03 first pitch, just past the 10 o'clock hour here. We have yet to talk about the Hastings lineup, and let's start with the guy that's going to be leading it off. One of their leaders, especially in the box, senior outfielder Isaiah Shaw, hits .453 on the year, 12 RBIs. However, not a lot of at-bats, only 53 ABs on the year.
He's going to be the one that sets the tone against a Nebraska commit in Jay Ciola. Got some good giddy up, some good ride on his fastball here early this morning. Just saw the breaking ball right there. For a team like Hastings, Nick, that's been to the state tournament 5 times, haven't been here since 2001. Not that one at bat means everything, but one at bat, especially from your leadoff guy, it sets the tone. So for Isaiah Shaw, who is a senior in his last year of eligibility in high school, for him to come out and set the tone early in this game for Hastings. We haven't seen a 1-8 upset here in the Class A state tournament. You saw the 1 seed Lincoln East win pretty decisively yesterday. Then back-to-back upsets last night. So that's maybe the vibe still on the field, but it's going to be nice for Hastings to get off to a good start with Shaw and then Dreyer right behind him.
Well, and similar in every baseball game as well, and especially on this stage with the wind being a factor like it is, we saw yesterday errors play a massive part in not only momentum, but just it feels like you're not going to be able to string some extra base hits together today, especially with the wind blowing in, that maybe you could on a normal calm day. So defensive ability, the just doing your job, making routine plays, keeping routine plays routine, like something simple like pickoff attempts or fielding ground balls and making an accurate throw to first. Things like that are going to be massive today, I think, for every team, not only just Skutt and Hastings, but for every single game we see today.
You and I have played our fair share of high school baseball, watched our fair share of it, and now calling here to the state tournament. What wins you games in high school isn't the tremendous play. It's avoiding the really bad ones.
Exactly, and you cannot compound them. All right, we are ready to go. Balls are in, and we are ready to play high school baseball here on Saturday morning. Jay Ciola, the future Husker, takes the mound. He throws from the right side, and he will face the left-handed leadoff hitter for the Hastings Tigers in the right fielder. A right fielder in Isaiah Shaw from the windup. And we are underway in the Class B state tournament. And the first pitch of the game hits the outside corner on a fastball 0-1 from Jace Ziola. We get started at 10:04 a.m., 53 degrees at first pitch here at Tal Anderson Field. From the windup, Ziola, the 0-1 offering, swung on and missed. And another fastball, which you might see Ziola try to establish that heater early. We see that often at this level. Establish that fastball early and see if you can work with some of the breaking ball stuff later in the ball game. The 0-2 pitch to Isaiah Shaw just missed outside. Once again, the fastball there. It's now 1 ball, 2 strikes to the Hastings leadoff hitter here, Isaiah Shaw. Isaiah once again hitting .453 on the campaign as he is ready to face this 1-2 offering from Ziola. Ziola takes his time, fires one home. It's up and away, ball 2. and the count's now even at 2-2.
4 straight fastballs out of number 11 for Skutt, Nick. And Isaiah Shaw was late on the first couple of them. His timing's not there, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Ziola stick with the fastball.
2 balls, 2 strikes to the Hastings leadoff hitter, the first hitter of the game here at Tal Anderson Field. Ziola, 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on and missed, and 1 up, 1 down on the swinging strikeout as Isaiah Shaw goes down swinging, and Jace Ziola has his first K of the ball game. Probably many more to come as there looks to be a lively fastball here just 5 pitches into the game. But Jace Ziola, the future Husker, doing his part. He showed good command early in that at-bat and then elevated that one on 2-2 for swinging strike 3. Stepping into the box, it's Brody Dreher, the Hastings center fielder, and he watches a fastball go by right down the middle for strike 1, 0-1. The dimensions, just remember, here at Tal Anderson Field, 330 down each line, 410 to straightaway center with the black batter's eye directly behind that center field wall. The 0-1 pitch is going to be outside, ball 1, 1-1. We have yet to see anything but a fastball from the righty on the mound, and Jace Ziola, who he gets the ball back from his catcher, and he steps right back on that rubber, and he's ready to go. The 1-1 pitch to Dreher, swung on, and it's fouled off the catcher behind the dish, and it's going to bring up 1 ball, 2 strikes. And if you are Skutt Catholic's coaching staff over in that third base dugout, you like what you're seeing from Jace Ziola, establishing a rhythm early on, really getting right back up to the bump, ready to deliver home to home plate. And that's one thing that we have seen where when there's guys on base and it's in the later stages of the game, that can hurt you, right? You want to mix up timings, Austin, but in the early stages, especially when there's nobody on base, get into a rhythm, get comfortable, and we're seeing that from Jace Ziola. The 1-2 pitch to Dreher is going to be on the outside corner. That was the first breaking ball we saw from Jace Ziola, and Brody Dreher goes down looking for out number 2 on what we look to be a slider on the outside part of the plate.
Started over the heart, broke over the outside corner, froze Dreher.
So 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Hastings, the 8 seed in Class B action. Skutt Catholic, the top seed here in Class B's bracket. Stepping into the plate, it's Chance Verton, the first baseman, left-handed hitter facing the righty pitcher, Ziola. The first pitch swung on and fouled back to the left side over into the Skutt's fan section behind that third base dugout for a foul ball. It's 0-1 coming up to Chance Verton, the first baseman on the season. Verton is hitting number 17, I should say, hitting .270 on the campaign and 63 at-bats. This will be the 11th pitch of the game for Jace Ziola as he has an 0-1 offering coming to Chance Verton. The 0-1 pitch, up and away, ball 1. So it's our last day of baseball at Tal Anderson Field for the state tournament coverage. We'll move to Warner on Monday morning starting at 10 a.m., but this is the first of 4 games today here on the ticket. The 1-1 pitch swung on, fouled back left side. Verton looks to be just a tad late on the heater from Jace Ziola, but he's put 2 decent swings on it, 2 of the better swings that we've seen from the first 3 hitters for the Hastings Tigers. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Verton, the left-handed hitter, steps in, holding the bat, now swings it for a practice swing ahead of Jace Ziola's 1-2 pitch. Ziola kicks and fires. This one grounded left side, and it's going to get between the third baseman and the shortstop for a base knock, and Hastings has their first base runner of the game, and it comes off the bat of Chance Verton for a 2-out single. So now that brings up, with 2 outs in the top of the first, the Hastings Tigers cleanup hitter, number 10, the third baseman, Carlos Jimenez. Jimenez, a senior on the year, hitting .299. He has 20 RBI on the campaign as well. Steps into that right-handed batter's box as Verton will lead off a first with 2 outs here in the top half of the first inning. Jace Ziola now working out of the stretch for the first time here this morning, and the first pitch of the at-bat is in there for strike 1 on the outside part of the plate to Carlos Jimenez. 0-1 coming up for Jace Ziola on the mound. No balls, 1 strike, 2 outs here in the top of the first inning between Hastings and Skutt. No score. Hastings just got a 2-out single off the bat of Chance Verton as their cleanup hitter, Carlos Jimenez, watches ball 1 go by, low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's a righty-righty matchup. Jimenez with a little bit of a more narrow stance. Doesn't have his legs too far apart. standing towards the back of that batter's box. Furton off with the pitch, ground ball up the middle. Second baseman range is over, and he fires over to first in time. Good play there by the second baseman, Bubba Day, for the Skutt Catholic Skyhawks. And Jace Ziola works around a 2-out single and is able to retire the Hastings cleanup guy on a 4-3 ground out for out number 3. That'll do it for the top half of the first inning. Your score after a half inning play, 0-0. We see Skutt Catholic up to the plate for the first time in this one in just 30 seconds here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Welcome to the 2025 NSAA State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. State baseball broadcasts are powered by Game Day Men's Health, Max 10, Doane University, Raising Canes, and the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Now, calling all the action, here's Nick Sainert.
All right, so we saw Jace Ziola work a clean frame for the Skutt Catholic Skyhawks on the bump in the top half of the first inning, and now it's Elliot Sidlow's turn. The Elliot Sidlow for the Hastings Tigers, the senior pitcher on the year, 2-1 record with a 5.64 earned run average, throws from the right side, and he's going to be facing a Skutt Catholic Skyhawks lineup that can do a lot of damage from hitters 1 to 9, especially in the first 3 hitters in Joe Kaliga, Dylan Van Dyke, and Gage Gunther, as we will see the Hastings defense go to work here after Jace Ziola worked efficiently and quickly, Austin.
Yeah, 16-pitch first inning. The single that he gave up was just a well-placed one, wasn't necessarily well-struck. So then if you're Elliot Sidlow here, Nick, you still have to establish your fastball. You're not going to blow Skutt away with it. So when we say establish the fastball for him, we mean command and control. Can you put that fastball on the edges? Can you elevate it when you need to? Can you live at the knees? And then can you pitch backwards, right? You got to trust your stuff, what you do have, but you also have to be smart about it. Don't get in your head. Don't overthink it, but have a plan for every at-bat, because just going up there and throwing instead of pitching is not going to work out well for you against the Skutt lineup.
So first time seeing Skutt Catholic's lineup here in the bottom half of the first inning. We'll see if the number 1 seed Skutt Catholic Skyhawks can get on the board early and just consistently try to wear down Hastings. That's what we saw Lincoln East do, the number 1 seed in Class A action, do yesterday morning. But here, Skutt Catholic, Joe Kaliga steps into the box, and we're ready to go here in the bottom half of the first inning. Elliot Sidlow on the mound once again, 2-1 on the season, a 5.64 earned run average. Working out of the windup and facing the righty hitter, Joe Kaliga. The first pitch is going to be swung on and hit well out to right center field. The right fielder ranges over, slides, and is able to haul in the baseball for out number 1. A nice catch by Isaiah Shaw. I didn't know if he was going to be able to get over there in time, because with the wind bringing that baseball back, holding it up maybe a little bit more, he was able to range over to his right in right center field and slide to make the catch for out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out for Elliot Sidlow. So Sidlow, once again, working from the windup, facing Dylan Van Dyke, and he drills him in the back. So Dylan Van Dyke will take first base after taking one on the back of his jersey. Dylan Van Dyke now takes first base. And so about as opposite of a start as you could say in the first 2 pitches of the game, as Elliot Sidlow pitched to contact on the first pitch of the ball game, got an out in 1 pitch, but then the very next one, he ends up hitting the Skutt Catholic 3-sport athlete, quarterback in football, point guard in basketball, and right fielder in baseball, Dylan Van Dyke, as he takes first base. Working out of the stretch, the first pitch of the at-bat to Gage Gunther, the Skutt Catholic catcher, is going to be fouled off to the right side. No balls, 1 strike coming up to Gage Gunther. Gunther on the season hitting .361 in 72 at-bats, 26 hits on the 2025 season. Van Dyke with an aggressive lead off of first base. Still no score here in the first game of the day at Tal Anderson Field. The 0-1 pitch just misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Van Dyke leads off first. Gunther takes his time as Skutt Catholic, I should say, has the system with signs where the third base coach shouts out a series of numbers as Van Dyke leads off a first, and this one's going to be fouled back on the 1-1 offering to make it 1 ball, 2 strike. But what I will say is that, unfortunately, from a spectator standpoint, slows down the pace of the game just a little bit because each guy that is involved in that play has to pull the number sheet out of his back pocket of his pants, find the numbers, figure out what sign correlates with the sequence that was called out by the third base coach, and then put it back into the back pocket. The 1-2 pitch from Elliot Sidlow is on the way to Gunther, and he watches that one go by. It was a fastball at the knees that froze the Skutt Catholic catcher. And I can tell you this, as a former catcher, normally you think maybe the home plate umpire is going to give me the benefit of the doubt. I wouldn't be surprised that when Skutt is in the field, maybe we'll see that strike zone expand just a little bit there. But nice job by Elliot Sidlow, bouncing back from the hit by pitch and striking out the Skutt Catholic 3-hole hitter, Gage Gunther. That brings up the cleanup guy as he skies this one to right field, deep right field. The right fielder, Isaiah Shaw, ranging over. He will not get there. One bounces and hits the wall. As Hastings tries to get it in, they miss their cutoff, and scoring easily from first base is Dylan Van Dyke, and Skutt Catholic is able to strike first in the bottom half of the first inning on a 2-out, 1 RBI double from Cooper Smith, and Skutt leads it 1-0 here in the early stages.
Off the bat, Nick, I thought Kaliga's was down, and I thought Smith's was going to be a little bit too far in the air for it to fall for a hit, but that one just kept carrying down the line. And, Nick, it looked like the third base coach wanted Cooper Smith to get to third base because Hastings missed the relay. They overthrew it. A good relay throw and a send of Smith. He might have been out at third if Hastings was able to complete it and Smith picked up his sign, but instead he stays safely at second base with that RBI double.
So Cooper Smith is now at second base. It's 1-0 Skutt Catholic, and the first pitch of the at-bat to the 5-hole hitter, designated hitter, Will Sims, is in the dirt, or on the turf rather, and it's going to be 1 ball, no strikes coming up to Will Sims. Sims, the righty hitter, facing the righty pitcher of Elliot Sidlow. Sidlow comes set, fires. This one skied high into right field. The right fielder, Isaiah Shaw, busy today. He backpedals and is able to haul it in for out number 3. So glass half full approach here. Elliot Sidlow able to limit the damage against a dangerous Skutt Catholic Skyhawks lineup. He gets Will Sims, the designated hitter, to fly out to the right fielder for out number 3 in the bottom half of the first inning. However, the damage is done as Cooper Smith with a 2-out RBI double that one hopped the wall in right field. He is able to put Skutt Catholic on top 1-0 as we enter the second inning. Due up for the Tigers in the top half of the frame, it's Rutt, Sidlow, and Arlt. We'll see those guys in just 30 seconds here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nick Sander, Austin Norman, back with you here in the top half of the second inning. In the top half of the frame, Jace Ziola, the Skutt Catholic pitcher, will face hitters 5, 6, and 7 in the Hastings Tigers lineup. It's Adam Rutt, Elliot Sidlow, and Clayton Arlt due up here for the Tigers in the visiting half of the second inning. Skutt Catholic able to get 1 run with the 2-out double from Cooper Smith in the bottom half of the first, and the first pitch of the second inning is going to be in there for strike 1, 0-1. We saw Jace Ziola and, for the most part, Elliot Sidlow really be effective in both of their first innings of work. Jace Ziola with 16 pitches in that first inning as he throws ball one across the outside part, just outside of the plate. It's now 1 ball, 1 strike. But Elliott Sidlow with just 9 pitches in that bottom half of the frame. So some effectiveness and good approach at the plate by both teams' hitters, as this one going to be lined out to right center field. It's down for a hit. A nice job there by Adam Rutt, the Hastings catcher, to be able to get a leadoff single here in the top half of the second inning. And now that's going to bring up Elliott Sidlow, the pitcher, number 21 for Hastings here, with a runner on first base. And this is where teams like Hastings might be able to crack something, right? If Elliott Sidlow, wouldn't be surprised to potentially see somebody drop down a bunt here as well and see what they can do, get a guy in scoring position with less than 2 outs.
It's where the strategy of the game comes into play here, Nick, because not that Ziola is untouchable by any means, but this is probably the best pitcher that Hastings has faced all year. You need to maximize your scoring chances. You don't want to just play for 1 run, but also you can't afford to let a scoring chance go. So if you think that you can get after Ziola in another half inning, you're okay with moving the runner here, taking your chances with the runner in scoring position and 1 out instead of letting your pitcher Sidlow swing away.
One thing to note is for the catcher at first base, Brennan Chris is the courtesy runner, and he has a decent lead as he's off with the pitch, and the throw down to second is going to be scooped by the shortstop, but not in time. One thing I was going to say as Sidlow took ball 2 there, what I was going to say after the first pitch is that on the Sidlow showed bunt on the first pitch of the at-bat, pulled it back because it was a ball. Chris at first base got a pretty aggressive secondary lead. That's something that when you're facing a team like Skutt, who has some real good athletes and a real good arm behind the plate, and Gage Gunther, watch the back picks. But nobody out, runner on second base as Sidlow squares to bunt. This one's going to be fouled back to the screen on the left side, and that is strike 1 of the at-bat. 2 balls, 1 strike coming up to Elliott Sidlow. Help yourself out a little bit, kid.
This, Nick, is where I disagree with the bunt. You're up 2-0 in the count. I think you show it, but what do those extra 90 feet do for you? You know there's a good defensive backs up there in Gunther. Ziola's got good command and control. You can't count on a pass ball. I wouldn't sacrifice now. I'd let him swing away.
So here is Elliott Sidlow, shows early. He fouls it back to the screen again. That barrel of the bat just a little bit lower than the hands, and it's popping the baseball up. Here is one thing I would say is if you're going to bunt this one, you need to bunt it down the third base side, because force that third baseman to vacate the bag, which allows Brennan Chris, who is at second base, to slide into third base easily. However, the 2-2 pitch, and Sidlow does not show bunt. Here is from the stretch, Ziola on the way. This one swung, driven through the left side gap, down for a hit. Chris is going to be held at third base, but how about the Hastings Tigers here in the top half of the second inning? Elliott Sidlow with a single through the left side. He hit that one well, allowed the fastball to get deep, hit it where it was thrown on the outside corner into left field. Chris is at third base. Sidlow, who's going to have a courtesy runner, goes into first, and there's runners on the corners with nobody out here in the top of the second inning.
Made it difficult on himself with the 2 bunts that he fouled off, but there's the result, Nick. Now you have runners on the corners, nobody out. You can really get creative here on the base paths. Don't think yourself out of it, but this is a situation in high school baseball where you typically see that runner at first base take off.
So Chris is at third base. The courtesy runner for Sidlow is at first. Runners at the corners. And stepping into the box, it's Clayton Arlt, the designated hitter. He shows bunts, and he's going to take ball 1 up and away, 1-0. And so this is a situation here to where if you're Skutt Catholic, this is if you are in tuned and ready to defend this squeeze play, then you're able to get 1 out, and you'll sacrifice and allow the run to happen. However, you don't want to be finding yourself in a sense of miscommunication as the bunt is going to be attempted and missed. However, taking second base without a throw are the Hastings Tigers. He kind of just jogged in there. It looked like it was a delayed steal because they noticed that Gage Gunther, the catcher behind the dish, dropped down to his knees after each pitch. And that's the game within the game, Austin Norman, where you got to take advantage of every little thing when you're playing a top seed like Skutt Catholic. 1 ball, 1 strike to Arlt. Runners on second and third with nobody out. He shows bunt, and that's going to miss outside. 2-1. Jace Ziola, the opposite of what we saw in the first inning. We're seeing him take more time in between each pitch, and that's also affecting his command a little bit here in the top half of the second inning.
Nick, which way are you looking to put this bunt down? First base line or third base line?
First base side. And try to find it in that little area between the pitcher, first baseman, and second baseman. The 2-1 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled back. It was a half-hearted attempt by Arlt. And it goes back to the net as it'll be now 2 balls, 2 strikes. This could be a big out for Jace Ziola as he's got 2 runners in scoring position. Arlt, the left-handed hitter, Ziola, the right-handed hurler. Working from the windup now with runners on second and third. Must be more comfortable from there. The pitch swung on, fouled off softly left side, and we'll do it again at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Arlt is not comfortable with this velocity. He is not committed to these swings. He's late on it. So if you're Skutt, that's a good sign. I think if you're Ziola, you stick with the fastball here because he's the batter. Arlt is not necessarily the most comfortable in that batter's box right now.
DeGoat is the courtesy runner at second base, by the way, for Sidlow, number 30 for the Hastings Tigers. The 2-2 offering to Arlt. Swung on and missed, a big strikeout. And that is out number 1 for Jace Ziola and the Skutt Catholic defense as they get the designated hitter for Hastings down on strikes for out number 1. So runners still at second and third as we enter towards the 8th hitter in the Hastings lineup, and that's Tucker Sinek, the second baseman, right-handed hitter, facing the righty arm of Jace Ziola. 1 out here in the top half of the second inning. Runners on second and third as Sinek shows bunt, fouls it straight back to the screen. And the third base coach down on the left side for Hastings starting to get a little more frustrated because now that is the 4th bunt attempt that Hastings has not been able to get down. And we talked about errors in the field. This is essentially errors in the box. Unable to do your job, do your J as a hitter, can cause your team some runs as he watches strike 2 go by on the outside corner. And Austin, from our point of view, that's on the outside corner. You're trying to bunt it down the first base side, a fastball on the outer part of the plate. That's an easy job.
It's what you're looking for. It is exactly what you're looking for. The first fastball on the outer part, he reached for and dropped the barrel. That one he watches.
And here on the 1-2 pitch, chopper to third base. It throw's going to be heading home. The tag is applied and out at the plate. And Skutt Catholic able to cut the run down at home. Hastings tried the contact read play as soon as that ball was hit, the chopper to third base. Nice job by Luke Van Dyke at third base to be able to throw it home. Gunther applied the tag, and they are out at the plate. So now 2 outs, and Jace Ziola is 1 out away, 1 pitch away potentially from getting out of a situation that had 2 runners on second and third with nobody out. He has a chance to get out of the top of the second inning unblemished as he now faces Tucker Sinek, Royer DeLora. DeLora, the right-handed hitter, watches ball 1 outside, 1-0.
Mixed thoughts in the baseball community about the contact play. That one's hit on the ground, chopped, but not super high. We've seen bigger bounces off this turf yesterday than that one was there, Nick. That was just very routine from Skutt. If you're a runner, you got to be sure, unless that contact play is on, in which case you're really trying to put the pressure on the defense. It just didn't work out.
The 1-0 pitch is going to be swung on by DeLora and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike coming up to Royer DeLora, the 9 hitter in the Hastings lineup. DeLora on the year is hitting .333. Righty-righty matchup, the 1-1 offering from Ziola. Just outside, ball 2. That's a good spot, a good miss if you are Jace Ziola. You're okay with that competitive of a pitch. Runners are on the corners right now. It's 1-0 Skutt Catholic here in the top half of the second inning. Jace Ziola ready to throw his 37th pitch of the day. This one swung on, soft chopper, first baseman, able to haul it in, and he steps on the bag for out number 3, and that is as big of a missed opportunity as you could possibly see today, folks. Hastings, runners on second and third with nobody out, and they're unable to score a single run. Jace Ziola and the Skyhawks defense get out of the jam, and we head to the home half of the second inning. It's 1-0 Skutt here on 93.7 The Ticket.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also sewered in Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We head to the bottom of the second inning, where Skutt Catholic will send Luke Van Dyke, Bubba Day, and Easton Elam up to the plate, holding on to a one-run lead in the bottom of the second inning. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman alongside here from Tal Anderson Field in Omaha. As Ziola worked out of the jam for Skutt Catholic, that inning started the exact way that Hastings going to need to win this ball game. And it's stringing a couple of base knocks together, swiping some bags on the base paths. But then when the pressure's on and the moment is there, got to be able to take advantage of it. Elliot Sidlow back on the bump for the Hastings Tigers, and he fires strike one across the center of the plate to Luke Van Dyke, the third baseman for Skutt Catholic, who made a nice play defensively, a nice routine play defensively on cutting down Brennan Chris, the courtesy runner for Hastings, at the plate in the top half of the second inning. The 0-1 pitch is going to be swung on as Luke Van Dyke swung at ball one, but instead it's going to be no balls, 2 strikes coming up for Elliot Sidlow, who had just 9 pitches in that first inning.
He was really efficient, gave up a run because Skutt got that deep fly ball down the right field line by Cooper Smith. But if you are Hastings, you want to trust your ace to ride it out. That's going to be your best hope in a game like this.
The 0-2 pitch is going to be up and in as Luke Van Dyke had to kind of bail out of the way of that one. And it's going to bring up 1 ball, 2 strikes to the Skutt third baseman. Luke Van Dyke doubles as a fullback and linebacker for the football team as the 1-2 pitch is just outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
There is such a thing as effectively wild too, Nick. I don't know if it was intentional from Sidlow, but he got Van Dyke to swing at that pitch that was outside, then brought one all the way back inside on him. The thing that you have to do as a pitcher is make a batter uncomfortable mentally and sometimes physically.
The 2-2 offering to Luke Van Dyke, swung on, softly chopped to the second baseman, fielded cleanly, fired over to first base in time for out number 1, and that is what Elliot Sidlow did in the first inning. He pitched to contact, allowed his defense to work for the most part, and that's exactly what he does, as he is able to get Luke Van Dyke out on a 4-3 ground out for out number 1. That brings up Bubba Day, the second baseman for Skutt Catholic, the right-handed hitter on the season, hitting .267, has 1 home run on the campaign, and he steps into that right-handed batter's box with a little bit of a closed-off stance. The first pitch of the at-bat is low in the dirt, ball 1. Bubba Day, as I mentioned, 1 home run on the season, hits .267 in 45 at-bats. Working from the windup, it's Elliot Sidlow. Sidlow goes to work, and it's going to be ball 2, outside 2-0. Elliot Sidlow done a nice job. I mean, we cannot stress it enough. 16 pitches through an inning and a third, working effectively, has good command of the fastball for the most part here. Skutt Catholic's been able to get on it, but not really do a whole lot with it other than that 2-out RBI double in the bottom half of the first inning. But as I say that, Elliot Sidlow throws ball 3, a low and away, 3-0, coming up to Bubba Day. Great baseball name. Bubba Day, 3-0 offering to him. It's outside, and he walked him on 4 pitches.
That one was significantly outside, Nick, but the catcher didn't do Sidlow any favors there. Was not set up for that fastball away, and then lunged at it, didn't even try to bring it back into the zone and frame it. 3-0 counts. Umpires, more often than not, expand their zone for the pitcher. They want to keep the at-bat going, but if you're the catcher, you got to do your pitcher some favors.
So now Bubba Day occupies first base. That brings up the 8-hitter in the Skutt Catholic lineup, the shortstop, Easton Elam. Elam, number 3, hitting .200 and even .200 on the year, 11 hits and 55 at-bats. The first pitch way outside, as that is now the 5th consecutive ball thrown by Elliot Sidlow. And if you're Skutt Catholic, maybe we'll just see the red light go on here until Sidlow shows that he can throw one across the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Bubba Day at first base. He takes his lead. Sidlow working out of the stretch. Checks the runner at first. Fires home. And that one is going to be outside, ball 2. That is now the 6th consecutive ball thrown by Elliot Sidlow. Skutt Catholic checks their play call sheet for the sequence of numbers. 2 balls, no strikes here in the bottom half of the second inning. Skutt trying to add on to their 1-0 lead as Bubba Day off with the pitch. Swung on and missed. The throw down to second base is not in time. They thought that maybe Bubba Day, the runner, slid past the bag through second base. The shortstop for the Hastings Tigers, Royer DeLaura, tried to hold the tag on, but the umpire out there in the middle of the field said that he kept his left foot on the bag, and he calls him safe as he slides into second with a stolen base. So a nice job there by Bubba Day, swiping second. It was a swinging strike on the pitch, so now it's 2 balls, 1 strike to Easton Elam with a runner in scoring position. The 2-1 pitch swung on, grounded, fairly routine to the second baseman, fires over to first, and in time for out number 2, but advancing to third base on the play is Bubba Day. So now he'll advance and be occupying third base with 2 outs as Nate Christensen, the left fielder for Skutt Catholic, comes to the plate.
Big spot for the bottom of the order here, Nick. The top of the order did its job in the bottom of the first. Now, if you're the 7-hole, you can flip things over to the top of the lineup, an aggressive top of the lineup, and put another run on the board. That goes a long way for Skutt.
1-0 your score. Runner at third base is Bubba Day after he was walked on 4 pitches, stole second base, and then advanced to third on that ground ball. The first pitch, the at-bat to the 9-hole hitter, the left fielder, Nate Christensen, is going to be fouled off to the right side out of play. Strike 1, and we're starting to see Elliot Sidlow in the last 2 at-bats somewhat settle back in, throw some strikes across the plate, be competitive. Nate Christensen ready to swing the bat there on pitch number 1 of his AB. Nate Christensen getting the start in left field today. The righty-righty matchup, he shows bunt, drops it down. It's going to be fielded by the pitcher. Christensen trying to run it out, and he's there safely. A surprise with 2 outs, Nate Christensen. It wasn't a great bunt by any means, but he noticed that the third baseman for the Hastings Tigers, Carlos Jimenez, was playing even with the bag at third base. He dropped down a soft bunt down that third base foul line. The pitcher, Elliot Sidlow, tried to field it as cleanly and as quickly as he could, and he did not get him in time at first base. Scoring on the play was Bubba Day, and Skutt Catholic takes a 2-0 lead here with 2 outs. And let's roll that lineup over to Joe Kaliga, who flew out to right field on the first pitch of the game back in the first inning. As Christensen leads off first base, this pitch way outside, and it's going to be ball 1.
When a pitcher's missing outside pretty consistently like Sidlow has now, Nick, it can be for a variety of reasons. Maybe he's opening up that front side a little bit too much, he's holding on to the ball too long, or he's using all arm and overthrowing.
So 1 ball, no strikes as Elliot Sidlow. Christensen off with the pitch, grounded. It's a chopper, fielded cleanly by the shortstop. Nice play, inaccurate throw, but they're going to say he got him on the tag. Great job by the Hastings first baseman in Chance Verton, as it was a nice play, fielding it on the short hop by the shortstop, Royer DeLaura. He threw it inaccurately down that first base foul line, but a great job by Verton at first base, able to apply the tag on Joe Kaliga. And that will do it for the bottom half of the second inning. We turn to the top half of the third. When we come back, Hastings will send the top of their order. It's Shaw, Dreyer, and Verton due up against Jace Ziola, who heads back out there for his third inning of work when we come back on 93.7 The Ticket.
Jumpstart your summer to the max. Walk into any Max Tan in Lincoln and get a $5 standing tan session or a $5 red light wellness booth session. Your summer tan starts today with $5 sessions at Max Tan with 3 Lincoln locations.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time. Which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into Tal Anderson Field. Skutt Catholic leads it 2-0 over the Hastings Tigers, due up here in the top half of the third inning for Hastings. It's their top of the order, Isaiah Shaw, Brody Dreyer, and Chance Verton. Here to tell you all about it, here's Austin Norman.
Thanks, Nick. 20-pitch second inning for Jay Ciola. It took him 16 pitches to work around that 2-out single in the first. And then Hastings did a good job stringing together some hits, some really competitive at-bats. That's going to be the key for the Tigers if they want to chase Ziola from the game. Righty rocks and fires, swinging strike one there for Shaw. Do also want to shout out the play made in the bottom half of the second inning by Royer Delore. He's obviously been listening to his fantastic assistant coach, Casey Anutka, who I played with back in high school. Ziola fires a fastball inside, misses 1-1. Shaw on the year, 453 hitter. Struck out his first at bat. Swings through that one. It's 1-2. Half-hearted all-arm swing there, Nick.
This feels like a big inning for Ziola, too. He encountered a little bit of trouble back in the top half of the second inning, able to get out of it, show that you can settle back in and command the zone here in the top of the third.
I would pretty comfortably say Ziola is the best pitcher in the Class B field. Nebraska commit, good velocity, good secondary pitch. He gets Shaw down on strikes for the second time. Shaw did not take the bat off his shoulders there on that final pitch. And so much of being an ace, Nick, is rising to the challenge and having a shutdown inning. Your team has scored in the first 2 innings. They just strung together a pretty darn good inning offensively. Can you get your guys back in the batter's box? Get off the field, get into the dugout. There's a beautiful breaking ball slider that started over the inside half, ended on the outside half.
Yeah, Ziola hasn't had to use his breaking stuff a whole lot today, but when he has, he's been able to command it pretty well for the most part.
And there's an interesting balance here, Nick, with a guy like Ziola who misses outside with a fastball for ball one. If you can survive with just your fastball, great. Eventually, though, hitters will catch on to it. You got to throw your breaking ball enough to make sure you have the feel for it, keep it sharp for when you do need it. Another fastball misses up and out. It's 2-1. Brady Dreyer playing center field today for Hastings. He wears number 3, 282 hitter on the year, driven in 13 runs. Also moonlights on the mound. Ziola kicks and fires, breaking ball in the front door, strike 2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have a radar gun that's here at Tal Anderson Field. But you feel like Ziola is probably working upper 80s consistently, maybe touching low 90s every now and then with that fastball. And if you can complement that with a low 80s or high 70s breaking stuff, that can be really tough for a team like Hastings that might not see teams and talent like Skutt often. Tough to adjust.
Absolutely it is. Ziola brings home the 2-2, swung on, fouled back to the screen on the right side. We'll do it again, 2-2.
Now, it's also not to say that you can't win a baseball game, though, in terms of hitting a fastball late in the zone, right? Take it that way. We've seen that from Hastings a couple of times today.
And Skutt's playing it that way. They can tell that these swings aren't comfortable, as Dreyer has another uncomfortable swing right there. He is down on strike, second strikeout of the inning, 5th strikeout of the day for Ziola already. And, Nick, you can see Skutt's defense is playing that way. When it's a right-handed batter up, the second baseman is shifted way over in the hole. The right fielder's almost guarding the line. And now the opposite sort of setup is here's Chance Burton, the first baseman. He knocked a single through the 5.5 hole last time. Center fielders shifted over to the left field side of the bag. Left fielder shifted over a couple steps. Shortstop and third baseman taking away really that 5.5 hole that Burton hit it through the first time. He watches a fastball in the outside corner for strike 1 with 2 away. Burton, big, tall lefty. Here's Ziola, the righty, brings it home. That one popped up out of play. That'll reach the seats. Off on the left side.
Oh, I can't reiterate this enough. Ziola doing a really good job with the pace. Gets the ball back from the catcher, takes a breath behind the rubber, and steps right back up on the rubber every single time. And he's ready to go as the hitter even steps into the box.
Hitter is Burton. He waggles the bat, moves the hands a little bit. Ziola, that fastball is low, 1-2. Good pitch on 0-2 there. See if you can get him to chase the fastball. And that's just a sign of a confident pitcher, Nick. When you get the ball back, you're in a rhythm. You're predictable for yourself, right? So now if you're Hastings, do you try to call time, throw him off his rhythm? What do you do to break up that timing? That breaking ball hit on the ground to first base. It's off the glove. Will Ziola get over to first base in time? No. First baseman will put it in his pocket. We'll give an infield single there to Chance Burton, his second one of the day. Diving effort by Cooper Smith over at first base. Hit off his glove, bounded a few feet away from him. Ziola wasn't on his horse to get over there, Nick. He was late in getting off the mound. So even if Smith had snared that one, it might have been a single for Burton anyways.
And as of right now, they're actually calling that an error. So they're going to give the error to Cooper Smith over there at first base. It looked fairly routine. It wasn't hit hard by any means, but just kind of one that popped out of the glove. And nonetheless, like you said, Ziola wasn't on any sort of urgent rush to get over to first base.
Jimenez first pitch swinging, and Van Dyke takes care of that one, no problem. So one pitch after the runner reaches on an error, Jimenez grounds into a simple 5-3. Hastings still looking to get on the board. Omaha Skutt scored their first 2 trips to the plate. Can they make it 3 in a row? We'll tell you more after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
Energy fades and your drive just isn't what it used to be. Game Day Men's Health helps you step back into top form. Game Day Men's Health is one of the country's fastest growing clinics, and they focus on men's wellness, providing customized solutions with professionalism and privacy in mind. Testosterone optimization, weight management, vitamin injections, and shockwave therapy are just a few of the many things they offer. Restore your energy and rediscover confidence with the help of Game Day Men's Health, because every man deserves to feel his best every day. Visit them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com today or in person at one of their 2 locations in Omaha.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Fans, listen up. Your seatbelt can save your life. Does it click yet? Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
That's Nick Sainert. I'm Austin Norman with you at Tal Anderson Field, home of the Omaha Mavericks. Beautiful, beautiful day for baseball. Barely a cloud in the sky. It got gray, even hazy at times last night, but it is a picture-perfect day for some Class B state baseball. Class A got underway yesterday here at Tal Anderson Field. We had all 4 of those games for you here on the ticket. Class B is here at Tal Anderson. Class C also starting today over at, is it Frick or Fricky Field? Fricky Field in Papillion. Got Papillion and Papillion South in the Class A state tournament. We've got Omaha, Skutt, and Hastings here. Stepping into that left-handed batter's box, leading off the bottom of the 3rd for the Skyhawks is Dylan Van Dyke. He got the party started, plunked on the second pitch of the game. Sidlow brings that one right down the heart of the plate. Van Dyke taps it foul, 0-1.
This is what good teams do, Austin, right? Is that they will consistently add pressure, right? Mm-hmm. 1 run in the bottom half of the first, 1 run in the bottom half of the second. Watch for Skutt to try to be a little more aggressive, maybe try to put up a crooked number here in the middle innings.
Van Dyke swinging. He was on that one, but just under it. 0-2, fouled back to the screen.
It's just one of those things where if you're a team like Hastings, where maybe a little undermatched, right? Undersized in comparison to Skutt Catholic, you'll look up in the 5th inning and feel like you've played a pretty good baseball game. No errors to this point. You have more hits than Skutt, but you're down 4-5-0 on the scoreboard.
It's only 2-0 right now. Van Dyke lines that one down the line. It's twisting. It's fair. It's down. Van Dyke makes the turnaround first. He will cruise into second with a stand-up double. So just like he did in the first, now in the 3rd, Dylan Van Dyke gets the Skutt offense off and rolling, Nick.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Great job, inside-out swing. Sidlow tried to come across the plate with the 3rd consecutive fastball, and Dylan Van Dyke was going to be late on a fastball, early on any of the off-speed, or on time on any of the off-speed stuff, and he did exactly what he needed to do. Got it over the head of Jimenez over at third base. It snuck just inside that foul line and then started twisting into foul territory. Cruised, like you said, into second base with a leadoff double.
Brody Gindra hit a couple of those doubles yesterday. Dylan Van Dyke said, my turn here today. So here's Gage Gunther. He's doing the catching as that ball bounces in front. Good block by the catcher, number 12, Adam Rutt. That'll keep Van Dyke at second base. It's 1-0.
And this is kind of what I just mentioned yesterday. You look, if you're Skutt Catholic and head coach Damon Day, you're sitting here saying, okay, leadoff double, heart of our lineup coming up. This is where you could put 3 or 4 runs on the board here in this bottom half of the inning.
Separation is big for these top seeds. On the one hand, if you can be a boa constrictor, like you said, and just kind of slowly squeeze the life out with constant pressure, that's helpful. But every so often, you need that big explosive inning. Flex the muscle and really prove why you are the number 1 seed. Sidlow missed out with a fastball on 1-0, so now it's 2-0. Gunther takes a pitch in the dirt, 3-0. Of course, don't forget when we do say dirt, we mean brown turf.
And one thing I will say, I mean, Skutt Catholic, just their presence on the base paths, especially a guy like Dylan Van Dyke who runs well, we're starting to see it get to Sidlow. He rushes a little bit quicker on his delivery, and things like that can force him to short arm it and throw it in the dirt as he walks Gage Gunther on 4 pitches to just face the guy that has one of the 2 RBIs on the day.
That is Cooper Smith. He had an RBI double down the right field line in the first inning, scoring Van Dyke. You can tell, Nick, too, there's a velocity drop with Sidlow when he goes to the stretch from the windup. Not that he's overpowering by any means out of the windup, but you can just tell there's a certain level of discomfort from him in the stretch right now. Sidlow back on the rubber. Left arm resting on his hip. Right arm dangling down. He's set at the belt. Inside move, fakes a throw back to second base. 33 pitches through 2+ innings right now for Sidlow.
Which I don't think right now it's not as much pitch count concerns. I think it's more command concerns. We've seen where both pitchers at their own specific spots have run into some adversity. Ziola for Skutt's done a nice job settling back in. We have yet to see that from Sidlow.
First baseman is in on the grass, expecting bunt from Cooper Smith in the 4-hole. I would believe it in a high school baseball sense that Smith would be laying down a bunt, but Nick, with 2 on, nobody out, your cleanup hitter up, I'm not sure this is a spot I would bunt. Cooper Smith has gone deep 3 times and driven in 26 runs coming into the day.
Yeah, team high in RBI and 26 on the season, as you said. You don't see your cleanup hitter probably dropping one down, especially after he hit an RBI double earlier in the game and off of the same arm.
I will say, Nick, Skutt's probably seen more velocity than Sidlow. They're doing a good job of being patient. They're not over-aggressive. They're not reaching. They're not trying to take everything to the pull side. Most of their damage has been done the other way. It's a 1-1 count right now for Cooper Smith. First baseman standing in the right-handed batter's box. He watches that one drift away to the opposite batter's box, 2-1.
It looked like for about 10 minutes there or so, the wind died down a little bit, but now the flags that are planted in left center field start to blow a little more aggressively towards that right center wall.
Which means as a hitter, your best option is to get on top of it. Don't get under it. Here's Cooper Smith. He swings. That one's laced to center field. It's going to hang up there for the center field. No, it's off his glove. That was hit well by Cooper Smith. That, though, is an EH. Struck well on a line at the center fielder, tailing away from him. It ticks off the glove of center fielder Brady Dreyer, who just took his eye off the ball. Nick, that is a killer.
Yeah, that's what we talked about in the open, right? We talked about it, how errors in the field, especially for a team like Hastings, you got to play a clean baseball game. And we talk about the evolution of baseball now is you're going to force some of the infielders to come in as we have a conference on the mound. So we have a few minutes to talk about this here. But instead of runners on first and second with 1 out and maybe giving Sidlow a little bit of more confidence as he gets ready to face the designated hitter Will Sims here in a second, instead of that, runners on first and second, 1 out.
You're a ground ball away.
Yeah, you're a ground ball away in that case. Here, bases are now juiced, and you have nobody out here in the home half of the third inning, and you feel a little worse about your current situation.
Like I said, it was hit well to center field on a line. Off the bat of a righty, it was tailing away from the center fielder, but to his glove left hand. It was setting up for him. And Nick, when you look at what Dreyer was going to be able to do, it was hit well, but not necessarily that deep. I don't think Skutt would have attempted to tag the runner up. Maybe a couple hard steps off of second base to see how the relay throw went. But I really do think you're right. That would have held the runners at first and second and given Sidlow the chance to get a ground ball. But instead, the situation in front of us, the true situation, not the hypothetical, is bases loaded, nobody out, and designated hitter Will Sims at the plate. Sims this year, a .341 hitter. He is 15 of 44. Scored 13 runs, driven in 6. Everyone on the infield with their heels on the grass. Sidlow still in the stretch with bases full of Skyhawks. Can we say Skyhawks on the pond, or do we have to say Ducks?
No, Skyhawks.
Okay, we'll go with Skyhawks on the pond. Sidlow brings it home. That one alone away, ball 1.
The other thing that I will also add, just looking at the defensive positioning for Hastings, the left fielder is playing real deep, and it's almost as if there's a base hit out there. You're gonna allow the run from second to score because you're playing so deep. Normally on a windless day, yeah, you're in the right spot. But on a day where the wind is blowing it significantly from left to right back towards home plate, you could probably play a little shorter, just feeling like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make them burn me over the head if they're going to hit it to the left side.
At that point, you tip your cap. If they're able to get it through the teeth of that wind over your head, you tip your cap, you go get the ball, get it back in. As Sidlow missed low and then fired a strike, so it's now 2-1 to Will Sims. It's Van Dyke at third, Gunther at second, and Smith at first. Nobody out. Sidlow's fastball swung on over the head of the first baseman. That's down for a hit. Here comes Van Dyke to score. Gunther getting the wave. Now the ball kicks away from the right fielder. So that's going to score a second run. That's a 2-run single. I'll give him 1 RBI, Nick. The second run scores on the bobble out there in right field by Isaiah Shaw.
Yeah, once again, just a real nice piece of hitting. I mean, we cannot say this enough to where Skutt has done such a good job of taking a ball and sending it where it was thrown. That pitch on the outer part of the plate, and it's not that Will Sims was late on it. It was just he kept his barrel behind his hands, and he put it over the first baseman's head, and then mistakes compounded with the right fielder Shaw booting it off his leg after he fielded it.
So now it's Luke Van Dyke. He grounded out to the second baseman, his first at bat. Watches that one in the dirt, 1-0. Rutt is having to go to a knee pretty consistently here. Sidlow is missing outside. Now he's missing low. Second and third, nobody out. Bottom of the third inning. There's another pitch in the dirt, 2-0. And here, Nick, is, let's ask you, former catcher, your pitcher's missing low. You'd rather miss low than high, but how do you get your pitcher to bring it up, 6 inches to a foot, but not leave it over the heart of the plate?
It's so difficult. You got to throw strikes, but that's where this Skutt Catholic.
That one sneaks away through the wickets, but no advance. I'm not sure what Cooper Smith was doing there.
He kind of, it was bad communication on the part of Luke Van Dyke at the plate also. A lot of times you'll see the hitter, if a ball goes past the catcher or is even conversely stopped by the catcher, either motion with his hand to stay at third base or to send him home to kind of give him a better idea. That one slipped through the 5-hole in between the legs of the catcher. And so I think both sides were a little surprised that got to the backstop.
Very wide stance from Rutt behind the dish as Van Dyke takes a 3-0 pitch for a strike. It's like Jack Haglione style wide stance, but for a catcher. Van Dyke swinging 3-1. He missed it. It's a foul. It's 3-2. By missed it, I mean he did make contact. He missed his pitch, though. His 3-1 approach. Van Dyke wearing number 24, back in the batter's box. He's a .465 hitter so far this year. 20 out of 43, 14 runs driven in, couple more out there. He draws a walk, jumps out of the way of it, gets the call. So he's headed down to first base. And once again, the bases are loaded and nobody out for Skutt Catholic with a 4-0 lead. We've had some activity in the bullpen. Looks like Elliot Sidlow's day will be done. Let's step aside for 90 seconds. We'll tell you more about the new pitcher for Hastings on the other side.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, it's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doane.edu/apply.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Here at Tal Anderson Field, they just flashed the name of the pitcher up there on the scoreboard. We thought it was number 18. Turns out it's number 16. Ashton Hawes into the game. 1-1 record, an ERA of 2.77. I'm Austin Norman. He's Nick Sainert. It's a 4-0 lead for top-seeded Omaha Skutt over 8th-seeded Hastings here as we play in the bottom of the third inning. Nick, it was a leadoff double from Dylan Van Dyke. Gage Gunther drew a walk, and then Hastings had a chance to at least put an out on the board. Cooper Smith lined one to center field. It was off the glove of the center fielder, Brady Dreyer. Will Sims would then single after that, and another bobble or kick by the right fielder. It has not been a clean inning for Hastings. The Tigers not doing themselves any favors.
Yeah, you're right. And, what's worse for Hastings is, unfortunately, in that dugout, somebody that's getting a lot of rest is that J.C. Ola, who's been able to work out of a jam. And not to dwell on it, but going back to that top of the second inning where Hastings had runners on second and third, you talk about momentum of a game. You talk about giving your pitcher a sense of confidence. Runners on second and third, nobody out. Hastings came away with the goose egg. It's tough to look back on that and say, man, that wasn't a massive missed opportunity.
So here's Bubba Day. He drew a walk, would come around to score in the second inning. Feels very similar to me, Nick, to Kearney yesterday. Had a chance to tie the game or take the lead against Elkhorn South. Kearney, a relative, newbie to the state tournament, as is Hastings. Not that they haven't been here before, but just not as much. Elkhorn South has been in the Class A state tournament all but once since 2018, made 3 straight Class B state tournaments before that. And Omaha Skutt now in its 17th state tournament appearance. As Haas has not found the strike zone yet, he quickly falls behind 3-0, and there's nowhere to put Bubba Day. Another miss, and that's another run for Skutt.
This is what we talked about, right? If you're Skutt, you can kind of sense blood in the water, put up a crooked number. They've put up 2 here in the bottom half of the third and make it 3 as they walk Bubba Day on 4 straight pitches. Ashton Hawes walks in Skutt's 5th run of the game, 3rd of the inning.
Day's second walk, his first run driven in. That brings Cooper Smith home. Cooper Smith, I think, Nick, was just being a good teammate in the end. He didn't advance to home on the pass ball. He says, you know what? I'm going to give my guy a chance at an RBI. That's just friendship is what that is.
There it is.
So now it's Easton Elam. He's the shortstop wearing number 3. Elam, a 200 hitter this year. He'll watch that one outside. Now 5 straight pitches without a strike to begin the outing for Ashton Hawes. Same sort of deal, Nick. It's almost now it's pitching scared, I would say, for Hastings. Not attacking the strike zone, not trusting the stuff. There, Haas brings a fastball down the heart of the plate, except low. So now 6 consecutive balls. It's a 2-0 count for Easton Elam.
We already got action in the Hastings bullpen. 6 pitches into Ashton Hawes' outing here in relief.
As I mentioned, Haas only a 2.77 ERA on the year. He missed again.
And at this point, if you're Skutt Catholic, 7 straight pitches that have been outside of the strike zone, 7 straight balls, you're not swinging at this until he shows that he can bring one across the plate. That's the 8th consecutive ball. But what I was going to say is you're not swinging until he shows that he can bring 1, even maybe 2 across the plate, because now Austin, as Skutt extends their lead to 6-0 here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning, it feels like the dam is starting to break, right? That the wall is about to come down, and you have Nate Christensen, Skutt Catholic's 9-hole hitter, coming up to the plate. But guess who's waiting on deck? The leadoff, the top of the order, Joe Kaliga, Dylan Van Dyke, Gage Gunther. Those are guys that can really do damage. This is an opportunity for Skutt to put up way more than the 4 that they've already put up here in the bottom half of the 3rd.
And maybe work on putting the game away early. Infield still in, which leads you to believe that if Hastings gets a ball on the ground, they're bringing it home to Rutt. Haas does bring it home. There's a breaking ball over for a strike.
Dylan Van Dyke got this inning started. He's in the hole.
Let it off with a double down that left field line. Haas a righty. He's set on the third base side of the rubber. Breaking pitch swung on, grounded down the third baseline, snared at third. Third baseman couldn't make up his mind with where to go. It will be a throw across the diamond to first, not in time and late. Nick, the third baseman for Hastings, that's Carlos Jimenez. He grounded out to end the previous inning, made a nice falling over, half diving stop, but he didn't go home with it. He didn't retreat to the third base bag and take the out that he could have had. He stood up, threw across the diamond. Would have been a close play, except the first baseman also dropped the ball.
Yeah, I threw my hands on my head in disbelief because Carlos, he took 2 steps towards the third base bag like he was going to step on it for the force out and then just retreated. Nate Christensen runs as well as anybody on this Skutt Catholic team, and he thought that he could make the full throw across the entire diamond in time. a real head scratcher there for Hastings.
So here is Kaliga. He grounds it to third. There's the first out of the game. But Jimenez on that one, Nick, probably had to play at the plate that he chose not to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good job ranging to your left, right? That's the perfect, example of the ball will find you. The ball is going to find you again after you make a mistake. And Skutt, who now leads at 8-0, bases are no longer loaded, but runners on second and third, and Dylan Van Dyke, hitters 2, 3, 4 are the next three for Skutt.
Day comes across to score. It's Elam at third, Christensen at second. 1 out, an 8-0 lead for Skutt as Dylan Van Dyke, as Nick mentioned, who got the party started, steps up for a second at bat of the inning. He went Oppo for a double. He would come around to score on the single by Sims. Van Dyke a lefty, Haas a righty. Haas brings it home. That one skips up to the plate, 2-0. Eight nothing Omaha Skutt. They've put up a touchdown, looking for the extra point here in the third. Haas from the windup kicks and deals. Van Dyke takes that low, 3-0. Just as soon as Hastings got out of the bases loaded situation, they are fixing to put themselves right back in it. Haas now out of the stretch on 3-0, misses up and out. So Van Dyke aboard for the second time in this third inning. And here is three-hole hitter Gage Gunther. He drew a walk, would come around to score as well. Second run of this frame.
It always surprises me. So, then in here it fits right into the perfect conversation. Hastings pitcher Ashton Haas, with runners on second and third, threw out of the windup. And now they load the bases, and he switched to the stretch.
Well, he was out of the windup one pitch, then came back to the stretch.
I don't know if that's a lack of comfort thing, as Gunther fouled the first pitch of the AB off to the right. I don't know if it's a comfort thing, but it certainly is an inconsistency. And when you're trying to settle in, you cannot be. That could also be just a mental lapse, in all honesty, of just not sure what you want to do, what you're doing, what you're thinking. It could just be a mental lapse of not realizing the situation as well. And it's just not what you want to see if you're Hastings.
Righty-righty matchup. Haas misses up and out to Gunther, 1-1. It's a little thing that becomes a big thing, that you can tell that even if we haven't actually talked to Ashton Haas, you wouldn't tell us he's uncomfortable, but he sure looks it out there. Haas set out of the stretch. That one fouled back as well by Gage Gunther. There, Nick was maybe trying to do a little bit too much from Gunther. Really dropped that back shoulder, tried to lift it.
Yeah, we've seen decent velocity from Ashton Haas in relief. The command just hasn't been there. Gunther as far back in the batter's box as you could possibly be, right up against that chalk on the backside.
Gunther doing the catching. Swings at that one, fouls it back off the pole. Would have been a souvenir, but instead it goes down the tunnel to the clubhouse. Still 1-2 on Gage Gunther. He's a senior, 360 hitter. Driven in the most runs, second most runs on this Skutt team with 23 of them. Gives the bat a little bit of a waggle. He awaits the delivery from Haas. Brings it home, swings through it, strike 3. There's the second out of the inning. Good fastball on the outer half there by Ashton Haas. Nick, that's the beauty of hitting your spot. It was outside, elevated just enough. Gunther went after it with a pull swing, couldn't get to it.
Yeah, it was a good, there was good speed behind it. I will say, Gunther helped him out dramatically. It was going to be ball 3, and Gunther helped him out pretty dramatically there. But hey, nonetheless, if you're Ashton Haas, you're one pitch away.
So here's Cooper Smith, his team up 8-0. He watches the fastball up for ball 1. If you're Omaha Skutt here, Nick, you'd like to get it to that magical number 10.
Mm-hmm.
A little base hit up the middle would do the trick, as would another double from Cooper Smith. That's what he did in the first inning to drive in Dylan Van Dyke. Haas set, almost clipped him inside 2-0.
Yeah, Skutt's just done a really nice job. We haven't seen them bail out the Hastings pitchers a whole lot today. They've done a nice job using all parts of the field, so you can't really shift against this Skutt Catholic, offense.
That one runs up and in again on Smith. He swings and fouls it back. Now 2-1. That's one, Nick, that if Cooper Smith has a pull swing on it, that's probably going for a ride. Here's Haas. He comes set at the letters, drops it to the belt. He kicks and fires over the head. All the runners going to move up 90 feet. Here comes the 7th run of the inning for Skutt. That's Easton Elam sliding in to home, and Skutt now leads 9-0. Still runners on second and third and 2 away. Elam in to score. Christensen up to third. And Van Dyke to second. Kaliga had the 5-3 fielder's choice. Gunther struck out as Smith reaches for that one. He chops it down the third baseline off the hand of the official NSAA photographer. Good effort. He's way down in the camera well. Couldn't really stretch over the railing that well.
This is a big moment for Ashton Haas, right? Like, obviously it hasn't gone the way you've wanted it to, but
here's a full count pitch to Cooper Smith. That one runs inside. Cooper Smith did have first base available to him, so no run will score on that, but a good at-bat there from Cooper Smith, Nick. Saw some pitches, fouled a couple of them off. He draws a walk, and the inning continues for Skutt. Looks like we will have another pitching change. Ashton Haas will not escape this third inning. Let's go to break for 60 seconds. We'll tell you more about the new Hastings Tiger hurler when we return.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here at Tal Anderson Field. Before we tell you about the new Hastings hurler, jumpstart your summer to the max. Walk into any Max Tan in Lincoln and get a $5 standing tan session or a $5 red light wellness booth session. Your summer tan starts today with $5 sessions at Max Tan and their 3 Lincoln locations. Before Austin tells you about the new arm, one thing I do want to mention is Skutt Catholic, 9 runs on 5 hits. They have been given 8 free passes courtesy of some Hastings arms on the mound. Certainly not a recipe for success if you're an 8 seed in Hastings' case, trying to upset the top seed at Skutt.
It's certainly not for an 8-over-1, even if a 1 seed would put 8 runners on base for free, and not going to work out very well at any level of the game. It is 9-0 Omaha Skutt. Here is Peyton Drake. Drake is a sophomore. 0-3 record in ERA, just south of 4. Big dude on the mound, though, Nick. Drake looks well built for a sophomore. Running it up there, I would guess mid-80s. For Omaha Skutt, striding to the plate, is number 22, Will Sims. He's the designated hitter. He's flown out to right field. He also has an RBI single in this inning. So for the second time, we see him. Also, I don't know if I've ever gotten your opinion on this. Do you bat around when all 9 players come to the plate, or do you need that 10th batter, the leadoff hitter?
10th. You need the leadoff hitter.
To me,
you're not batting around.
But everyone got a chance to bat if it's 9.
But it's not around.
Okay, the age-old debate rages on.
Do you complete a circle without going past the line of where you started?
Well, you run up to it.
I suppose so. Maybe I've changed my thought process in the last 5 seconds on that.
Will Sims swings and misses at a fastball up and in. It's 0-1.
Obviously, Ashton Haas's day or the book is not complete. He goes 2/3 of the innings, though, and walked 4 guys. He only faced 7 batters and walked 4 of them.
Drake brings home a fastball, same spot as the first pitch of the at-bat, but Will Sims says, I'm not going to swing at that one. He takes it for a ball. Tough outing for Haas. Didn't have a lot of favors helped or given to him by his defense either. A couple of misplays there from Jimenez at third. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Skutt's put 7 on the board in the home half of the third. Drake brings it home. That one in the dirt. Good block by Rutt. He kept it in front, so that magical 10th run won't score. And really, Nick, if you're Hastings, that's what it's about. Get out of this inning at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can chip away, the run rule at the state tournament is 10 runs is enough if you're up by 10 after you play 4.5 or 5 innings. So if you're Hastings, you're in survival mode right now. Escape the inning if you can. Sims shoots it back up the middle. There's run number 10. Will they bring home number 11? Yes, they will. Here comes the runner motoring around third base. Throw home just late. Dylan Van Dyke scores from second base. Skutt now leads it 11-1 after Will Sims' second RBI single of this third inning.
Yeah, nice job. Nice piece of hitting, right? Skutt, they've now scored 9, like you said, in the third inning here. And we have to talk about it, right? We have to kind of give ourselves a pat on the back because we opened up this third inning, this bottom half of the third, with saying good teams like Skutt, they'll consistently score runs. They scored 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and then there's the crooked number. 9 runs in the bottom of the third is certainly a crooked number.
And the chance for more. First and second, 2 outs as that breaking ball misses inside on Luke Van Dyke, who is 0 for 1. He drew a walk earlier in this inning, came around to score. The best offenses in sports, the best teams in sports have that consistency where there is that pressure every inning, every opportunity that they have. As Van Dyke flips this one over to the right side. Will the inning come to the end? Yes, it will. First baseman Chance Burton takes it himself. That is a 3 unassisted, and the inning is over. But not before Omaha Skutt hangs 9 on the Hastings Tigers. It is 11-0. Top-seeded Skutt leading Hastings here at Tal Anderson Field. More high school baseball on the ticket after this.
When daily energy fades and your drive just isn't what it used to be, Game Day Men's Health helps you step back into top form. Game Day Men's Health is one of the country's fastest growing clinics, and they focus on men's wellness, providing customized solutions with professionalism and privacy in mind. Testosterone optimization, weight management, vitamin injections, and shockwave therapy are just a few of the many things they offer. Restore your energy and rediscover confidence with the help of Game Day Men's Health, because every man deserves to feel his best every day. Visit them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com today or in person at one of their 2 locations in Omaha.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nice job by Peyton Drake there, despite allowing a 2 RBI single, coming in relief of Ashton Hawes, who came in relief for Elliott Sidlow for Hastings. Able to come in, throw some competitive pitches, threw 6 pitches in relief, and he gets them out of the marathon of the bottom of the third inning for Skutt Catholic, a bottom half of the frame that saw 9 runs put up by the Skyhawks, the top-seeded Skutt Catholic Skyhawks. And now, if you're the Hastings Tigers, you have 6 outs to score at least 2 runs, unless you want to be sent home in abbreviated fashion via the run rule. As on the mound, once again, it's Jace Ziola, who's been sitting in that Skutt Catholic dugout for over 25 minutes of real time as we saw that marathon of that bottom of the third inning. He fires a strike 0-1 and then follows that up with a ball outside of the zone for a 1-1 count to even it up. Adam Rutt is doing the hitting. The catcher, who's been squatting down for a long time, instantly has to come into the box and swing the bat. He swings and misses at the 1-1 offering, and it's 1-2. Ziola doing a really nice job of dictating the pace of his performance on the mound. The 1-2 pitch swung on, fanned, and missed. It was in the dirt, and Adam Rutt didn't even run down to first base. He just retreated back to the dugout, didn't even try to force the Skutt Catholic catcher, Gunther, to complete the play. And just the body language of the Hastings Tigers right now is not where head coach for Hastings, Blake Marquardt, would want it to be. It's 11-0 Skutt Catholic. The pitch on the way is in there for strike 1. Jace Ziola continuing to do work here on the mound for Skutt Catholic as he gets ahead of the hitter, 0-1. Elliott Sidlow started the day at pitcher on the bump as he takes ball 1 ball, 1 strike. But then when he got relieved for in the bottom half of the third inning, he then went out to left field and replaced Dom Dom Monty out there in left field. Dom Monty, though, was being DH'd for by the man that's in the on-deck circle, Clayton Arlt. So no shift in lineup or lineup changes with the pitching change. The 1-1 pitch is going to be up and in for ball 3, 3-1. 3 balls, 1 strike to Elliott Sidlow. There are 2 guys lightly throwing in the left field bullpen for Omaha Skutt Catholic, as it's now a 5-pitch walk, and Elliott Sidlow will occupy first base now after the base on balls. But as I said, 2 guys out in the Skutt Catholic bullpen out there in left field, just past the foul pole here at Tal Anderson Field, lightly throwing from about 40 feet away or so. Not a large sense of urgency to get hot fast. Working out of the stretch now, it's Jace Ziola, whose pitch count is at 63 after that strike 1 offering from Jace Ziola to the designated hitter, Clayton Arlt. Arlt, A-R-L-T is how you spell his last name, struck out swinging back in the 2nd inning. He watched strike 1 and now watches strike 2. Same pitch, same location, same result. Looking at strike 2 there for Clayton Arlt. Struck out swinging, as I mentioned, back in the 2nd inning. The pitch from Ziola inside, and swiping second base on the play without a throw will be Elliott Sidlow. It will not go as a stolen base since there was no attempt to get Sidlow out. The catcher, Gunther, just more worried about seeing if they could get strike 3 against Clayton Arlt. The pitch on 1-2, just a tad outside. It looked to be a breaking ball that Ziola unable to get around on. And so for that reason, it brings up 2 balls and 2 strikes here at Tal Anderson Field. Ziola working out of the stretch. Ziola going to be a Husker as the 2-2 offering is up and in. No good on that one, and it's going to be ball 3. We've worked it full as it's 3 balls, 2 strikes to Clayton Arlt. Ziola on the day so far, just 3 hits allowed through 3 1/3. Here's the pitch from Ziola, and it misses up and out of the zone for ball 4. So the 2nd consecutive batter that Ziola has walked, and now that will bring up the right-handed hitter, the 2nd baseman for the Hastings Tigers, Tucker Sinek. Sinek, I would imagine some relation to former Husker quarterback Jarrett Sinek, who was from the city of Hastings as well. 11-0 is your score. Here's the pitch from Ziola, and it's down the heart of the plate for a strike, 0-1. He's done a good job, Ziola that is, as he's going to be throwing pitch number 70 here in just a moment. Done a good job of getting on top of hitters early in the count, as trying to swipe third base is Sidlow. He'll slide in safely, but once again, Gage Gunther not even attempting to get guys out. Sinek did swing and miss, though, on that pitch, so it makes it 0-2. But he hasn't been able to put away guys, especially here in the 3rd inning. The 0-2 pitch to Sinek is just outside. Barely missed with that one. It's now 1 ball, 2 strikes. We talked about it as we opened the game. One of the things that Hastings was going to need to do was play consistent and disciplined baseball, as this one's chopped left side but foul. We'll do it again at 1-2. Hastings, as an undersized team against Skutt Catholic, they were going to need to play some clean, disciplined baseball. And unfortunately, that has not been the case. Some not great approaches at the plate, some miscues in the field, and it's 11-0 Skutt Catholic. The 1-2 pitch is up and out of the zone, 2-2, coming to Tucker Sinek. Sinek has worked it even, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Jace Ziola. 11-0 is your score. The pitch from Ziola, and it rides inside, ball 3. Ziola struggling with command. Like I said, gets on top of hitters consistently. He had Tucker Sinek at no balls, 2 strikes, but now Sinek, credit to him, he's worked it full 3-2. The payoff pitch from Ziola on the way, and it's up out of the zone, and the 3rd consecutive walk for Jace Ziola, as now those 2 arms in the bullpen for Skutt Catholic starting to get stretched out a little more aggressively here, as Ziola struggling with command here in the top half of the 4th inning. It is 11-0 Skutt on top of Hastings. And if you're Skutt Catholic, this is the one thing you did not want to see, is you're working with a pretty comfortable lead, and on your way to potentially run ruling the Hastings Tigers, the one thing you do not want is them able to extend this game. And the reason I say that is from a standpoint of rest, arms in the bullpen. As the competition gets tougher, as the state tournament progresses, if you can have a plethora of arms to choose from, you're going to be way better off than if you have to use some guys in some situations like this one. Jace Ziola with 75 pitches. Though, has started the top of the fourth inning off with 3 consecutive walks. And this is where that pace, once again, has not stayed consistent, stayed the same for Jace Ziola. That brings up the 9-hole hitter, Royer DeLora. DeLora, he grounded out to the third baseman to end the second inning in his lone at-bat today. The first pitch, it's going to be bunted back to the pitcher. Ziola will try to throw off balance. It's not in time, and Royer DeLora is able to bunt the first run of the game for Hastings in. And once again, I say it all the time, the evolution of the game, those guys obviously don't score if Ziola doesn't put them on via a free pass. And so DeLora able to get an RBI. Scoring on the play was Sidlow. And now bases are still loaded with nobody out for Hastings here in the top of the fourth inning. Facing the lefty hitter, Isaiah Shaw. The pitch inside, ball 1. Isaiah Shaw on the year hitting a team high 453. 12 runs driven in, trying to bring some more in for Hastings here in the top half of the fourth inning. He watches 2 balls go by, and it's 2 balls and no strikes here coming up to Isaiah Shaw. Shaw, the right fielder, he's 0 for 2 on the day with 2 strikeouts, 1 swinging and 1 went by as a spectator. 2 balls, no strikes. Here's the pitch from Ziola. Down the middle, 2-1. Skutt leads it 11-1. They put 1 run up in the first, 1 run up in the second, and 9 in the bottom half of the third. Hastings here with their first run of the game in the top of the fourth. The pitch swung on, fouled back our way, and it is going to be even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Skutt Catholic on the year, 22-5. Played a team from Oklahoma the first game of the year and lost by a score of 9-8. They also lost to Millard West, Papillion La Vista South, Lincoln East, and Lincoln Pius the 10th. The 2-2 pitch is going to be in the dirt from Ziola, ball 3. And you would imagine that if Ziola loses Shaw here, his day might be done. He's at 81 pitches. The 3-2 payoff pitch. Ziola swings. This one lined up the middle. It's fielded cleanly by the second baseman. A glove fit to second for 1. The throw on to first is in time. And how about the inning-ending double play? Jace Ziola on the 3-2 payoff pitch. He gets a ground ball to the shortstop. He glove flipped it to the second baseman for 1, who flipped it over to first base for the second one. And that will put a cap on the top of the fourth inning as Hastings gets just 1 run out of it, and they trail it 11-1. We'll have the bottom of the fourth inning coming up. Due up in the bottom of the fourth, it's the bottom 3 in the order. Day, Elam, and Christensen due up for Skutt Catholic in 30 seconds.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time. Which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, 1 love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A smooth play by Easton Elam, who will be due up second in the inning as he glove flipped it to Bubba Day, who was covering the second base bag on a ground ball up the middle. He flipped it with his glove to Bubba Day, who fielded it cleanly, stepped on the bag for 1, fired it over to the first baseman Cooper Smith for the 3rd out of the inning on an inning-ending 6-4-3 double play. And Hastings, after they had bases loaded with nobody out, they get just one run in the top of the fourth inning. We turn now for Skutt Catholic. It'll be two key parts of that double play. Bubba Day, the second baseman, due up first. He takes strike one across the heart of the plate. No balls, one strike to him. Bubba Day here in the bottom of the fourth inning. 11-1 is your score. Skutt Catholic 11 runs on 6 hits as Day swings and fouls this one back our direction over my head here in the press box at Tal Anderson Field. I got to shout him out. Once again, the NSAA put us, and I thank them because they put us right behind home plate here at Tal Anderson Field. 11-1 is your score. The 0-2 pitch is on the way. This one hit real well out to left field, but the wind's going to hold it up, and it'll be fielded cleanly and caught for out number 1 by the left fielder for the Hastings Tigers. That was Elliot Sidlow, who started the game on the mound. He catches it for out number 1. That was what I said earlier, too, to Austin, was that when you're the left fielder, you don't have to play real deep today. That one was hit real well by Bubba Day. However, that wind just held it up in the air, and Sidlow was able to camp under it for out number 1. All right, here we go. Next up, it's the shortstop, Easton Elam. Elam on the day, he walked back in the third inning, that marathon of the third inning, and he grounded out to the second baseman back in the second. So he is 0 for 1 officially today through his 2 at-bats. Easton Elam, on the year, a 200 hitter and 57 at-bats. This one up and in, a little bit of chin music there, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. 2 balls, no strikes as Peyton Drake is on the mound for the Hastings Tigers. It's the third pitcher of the day for the Tigers. The 2-0 offering to Easton Elam on the way, and it's down Broadway for strike 1. 2 balls, 1 strike, coming up to the Skutt Catholic 8-hitter. Peyton Drake working out of the full windup, fires home on the 2-1 pitch. It rode inside once again, 3-1. I will say both sides, both Ziola and then the combination of Sidlow, Haas, and Drake for Hastings, they've tried to establish the inside part of the plate, and the home plate umpire just hasn't given it all day. The pitch swung on, fouled back to the right side, and it will be a full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes to Easton Elam. The game to follow this one, it's sure to be a good one. I would imagine that it'll be a little bit of a closer ball game between number 4 seed Waverly and number 5 seed Gretna East. That's going to be a good one. First pitch scheduled for around 1 o'clock or so, as the payoff pitch is going to be low and inside, and giving him first base is Peyton Drake. Easton Elam will take first base for the Skutt Catholic Skyhawks, who lead at 11-1. No matter what Skutt Catholic does here in the home half of the fourth inning, they will only have to get 3 outs and try not to give up any more runs for Hastings, because it'll be 10-run rule, mercy rule. It is in effect. 11-1 is your score. Skutt Catholic 11 runs on 6 hits as Drake comes set. Runner goes at first base. This one skied out to right field. Runner will have to retreat back to first base as it's a routine fly ball out to right field, caught by the right fielder Isaiah Shaw for out number 2. So Nate Christensen goes down on 1 pitch with an F9 in the game book for out number 2, and we bring up the top of the order, and that is Joe Kaliga. Kaliga, he is 0 for 3 on the day. The Skutt leadoff hitter. He flew out to the right fielder in the lead in the first inning. He grounded out to the shortstop to end the second inning, and in the third inning, grounded out to the third baseman. 11-1 is your score. The runner over at first base pick over is not in time, and back safely was Easton Elam. Elam went with the pitch last at bat, however, had to retreat back to first base because of the routine fly ball. He has an aggressive lead at first base. He's getting checked by Drake once, twice, and a third time. The pitch on the way inside, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes coming up here to Joe Kaliga. Due up in the top half of the 5th inning for Hastings. They'll have exactly where they'd want it. 2, 3, and 4 hitters are due up for Hastings in the visiting half of the 5th inning. The pitch on the way swung on and missed by Joe Kaliga, who is an outstanding wide receiver for the Skutt Catholic football program. Kaliga getting the start in center field today. 11-1 is your score. 1 ball, 1 strike from Peyton Drake. Righty-righty matchup as Easton Elam, the Skutt Catholic shortstop, occupies first base. Looks like he might be going with this pitch. As Drake sends it, there he goes. There goes Elam. The pitch is in the dirt, rather, so there will not be a throw down to second base. Elam is into second base standing, and it will not go as a stolen base, obviously, since there was no contest from the catcher behind the dish, Adam Rutt of Hastings. So he'll get second base there easily, and Skutt has a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. 2 balls, 1 strike here to Joe Kalega. Kalega faces the 2-1 pitch. This one swung on, lined out to the right field, and Elam rounds third. He's going to score. The right fielder fields it off the 1 hop, and it's going to be a 12-1 Skutt Catholic lead here in the 4th inning. Elam was off with the pitch from second base again. So not only did he try to steal second and did so successfully, but he was off with that pitch from Peyton Drake, leading 11-1 at the time. He was off with the pitch. It was poked out into right field off the bat of Joe Kalega, who has his first hit of the day and his first RBI of the day as well. And on that play, Elam was able to trot home to score. So Skutt leads it now 12-1. And it's the second hitter, Dylan Van Dyke. The lefty steps in as he takes ball 1 up and away, 1-0. Standing on first base, Joe Kalega, after that 2-out RBI single to right field. The right fielder has to play so deep because of the wind. It's pushing everything towards that right center, right field wall. The pick over to first is not in time as Kalega dives back in safely. But the right side of the field has to play a little bit deeper because of baseballs being a little more wind-aided that direction today. 1 ball, no strikes. Here in the bottom of the 4th inning, Skutt leads at 12-1. Working from the stretch, Drake fires home, and he throws a strike in there. 1 ball, 1 strike coming up to Dylan Van Dyke. Here are 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th inning. Nick Sainert with you for 4 games today. Waverly and Gretna East is next at 1 p.m. Here's the pitch. The runner goes. Pitch up out of the zone. The throw into second base is in time, out at second base. And that will do it for the 4th inning. We have played 4 complete here at Tal Anderson Field. Your score, Omaha Skutt Catholic 12, the Hastings Tigers 1. The Hastings Tigers have 3 outs to work with in the top half of the 5th inning if they want to keep playing baseball here on Saturday morning. 3 outs to go, and we'll see, is Chase Ziola taking the bump to complete it, or will Skutt go with a reliever? We'll tell you here as we enter the 5th inning of play. Hitters 2, 3, and 4 due up for Hastings in just a moment on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, it's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doane.edu/apply.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So Chase Ziola, the future Husker, his day is done. The book is closed on him. The Jace Ziola, that is, the senior. He goes 4 complete innings. He has 5 strikeouts, allowed 4 hits, walked 3 Tigers hitters, and allowed 1 earned run in that top half of the 4th inning through just over 80 pitches as well. Skutt Catholic going to turn to number 9, Braxton Jimenez. Braxton, the freshman on the season. He holds a 1-0 record, has 2 saves, and has an ERA of just over 1 at 1.05. So Braxton Jimenez, the right-handed hitter, will have to deal with hitters 2, 3, and 4 due up in the Hastings lineup. It's first going to be the center fielder, Brody Dreher. Dreher, 0 for 2 today with 2 strikeouts. He was victim of 2 of the 5 Jaciola strikeouts. As Jimenez fires in pitch number 1, and it's outside, ball 1. 12-1 is your score. Skutt Catholic out in front comfortably over the Hastings Tigers. Righty-righty matchup as Dreher lead ahead in the count 1-0. Grounds this one right side. Great stop by the first baseman, Cooper Smith, and he's able to touch the first base bag for out number 1. A nice hard hit by Brody Dreher. Just a better defensive play by Cooper Smith, as that is out number 1 on the 3 unassisted. That brings up Chance Verton. Verton singled back in the first. He reached on an error by the first baseman back in the 3rd inning. And 1 hitter, 1 out on 2 pitches for Braxton Blank Jimenez. Lefty hitter, righty pitcher. Here in the top of the 5th inning, the first pitch is in there, first strike 1. Once again, join me for the 1 p.m. first pitch between Waverly and Gretna East. Then there's 2 night games as well at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Here at Tal Anderson Field, we'll have tomorrow off. Sunday, we will not play any games tomorrow. Monday, 10 a.m., we'll be out at Warner Park for the rest of the week. The 1-1 pitch from Jimenez on the way. It's skied high, but foul, heading towards the fan section, and the young man sitting up on the concourse, unable to haul it in, and he looks down at his hands like, ow, that hurt, but a little bit of disappointment there from his buddies that are around him. 1 ball, 2 strikes here to the 3-hole hitter, Chance Verton, with Hastings trailing 12-1. On the way, this one swung on, fouled back, same direction, just a little farther back, as that will reach the grass behind the concourse here, as a couple of kids rush to grab that foul ball. There's no souvenirs here. They don't get to keep them, unfortunately, but I would imagine that you can return them to a dugout or to the concession stands. 12-1 is your score. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Chance Verton. Here's the pitch by Jimenez, and it is going to be a hit by pitch as it hit Verton on the toe. And so Verton will occupy first base now with 1 out here in the top half of the 5th. 12-1 is your score. Skutt Catholic, 12 runs, 7 hits. They've committed 1 error. While for the Hastings Tigers, just 1 run on 4 hits. They've also committed an error. Here's the first pitch to the Hastings cleanup hitter, Carlos Jimenez. Carlos, so far today, 0 for 2. He's grounded out 2 times, once to the second baseman, once to the third baseman. The pick over to first base, not in time, back in plenty of time as Chance Verton over at first. I think if you're Skutt Catholic and head coach Damon Day, you're saying to your pitcher, Braxton Blank Jimenez, you're saying, hey, man, look, don't worry about the guy at first base. Worry about the guy at the plate, as the 1-0 offering is going to be slashed through the right side into right field for a single. And Hastings is runners on first and second with 1 out in the top of the 5th inning. Nice job. Good piece of hitting by Carlos Jimenez. Not trying to do too much with it as he fired it through the right side in between the first baseman and second baseman of Skutt Catholic's defense. And that'll bring up and extend the inning for Adam Rutt, the catcher. Singled back in the 2nd inning. He was cut down at the plate, though, on a ground ball to the third baseman back in that 2nd inning. Here's the first pitch of the at-bat. It's over the heart of the plate for a strike. Adam Rutt, he is the catcher for Hastings. He did not appreciate that call by the home plate umpire. He felt like that one was upstairs a little bit on the breaker, but it's 0-1. Here's the pitch from Blank Jimenez. Swung on and missed. He reached for that one. A delayed steal, as now running from second to third is going to be Chance Verton. Once again, they recognize that Gage Gunther, a little lazy behind the plate, dropped down to a knee and fired it back to the pitcher, just kind of lobbed it back to the pitcher, and Hastings was able to take advantage of that. However, that does set up a potential double play if a ground ball is hit hard enough here on the 0-2 count. And it's on the outside corner for strike 3. Adam Rutt goes down looking, and Blank Jimenez is out, 1 out away from sending Skutt to the winner's bracket. A backward strikeout for Adam Rutt. And so that is out number 2, bringing up Elliott Sidlow. Sidlow on the day, he walked back in the 4th. He singled in the 2nd. Runners on the corners, 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning. The lefty hitter against the righty pitcher. Breaking ball stays outside, ball 1. So the winner of this one will get the winner of Waverly and Gretna East. The loser gets the loser of that game between the Vikings and the Griffins. 12-1 is your score. 1 ball, no strike. Here's the pitch to Sidlow, and it's just low to Sidlow. 2 balls, no strikes. We're nearing the noon hour here at Tal Anderson Field. 12-1 is your score. Appreciate you joining me on a Saturday morning. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swung on, grounded softly. It's a chopper. Shortstop fields it. Steps on the bag for out number 3. And Skutt Catholic goes 12-1 today as they run rule the Hastings Tigers. And Skutt Catholic did exactly what they needed to do. They scored 1 run in the 1st, a run in the 2nd, 9 runs in the 3rd, 1 run in the 4th. And they continued to pile it on as they defeat the Hastings Tigers 12-1. We'll come back in 60 seconds, put a bow on this one, and get you ready for the Gretna East and Waverly game in a little over an hour here from Tal Anderson Field, right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
When daily energy fades and your drive just isn't what it used to be, Game Day Men's Health helps you step back into top form. Game Day Men's Health is one of the country's fastest growing clinics, and they focus on men's wellness, providing customized solutions with professionalism and privacy in mind. Testosterone optimization, weight management, vitamin injections, and shockwave therapy are just a few of the many things they offer. Restore your energy and rediscover confidence with the help of Game Day Men's Health, because every man deserves to feel his best every day. Visit them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com today or in person at one of their 2 locations in Omaha.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nick Sander back with you from Tal Anderson Field as the Skutt Catholic Skyhawks defeat the Hastings Tigers 12-1 here in our first game of the day. Skutt Catholic looked every part of the number 1 seed that they are here in Class B action as they once again win by 11 in just 5 innings. So there you have it. The winning pitcher on the day, Jace Ziola. He picks up his 4th win of the campaign. He came in with a 2.20 earned run average. He allowed just 1 run on the morning. He faced 19 Hastings hitters, went 4 innings, struck out 5, walked 3, and allowed 4 hits on the day before Braxton Blank Jimenez came in and did not record the save because it was not a save situation, but he was able to close the door on the Hastings Tigers. He goes just 1 inning of work, faced 5 hitters, struck out 1, allowed a hit, and also hit a batter as well. But most importantly, blanked the Hastings Tigers in that top of the 5th inning and slammed the door. It was an impressive day for the Skutt Catholic offense, 12 runs on 7 hits. However, they were helped out dramatically by double-digit free passes given by the Hastings Tigers to the Skutt offense, and that's a recipe for disaster, as Skutt can certainly cause and wreak havoc on the base paths. They applied the pressure to Elliott Sidlow, Ashton Hawes, and Peyton Drake, the hurlers for the Hastings Tigers. They applied pressure the entire ball game, and then you compound that with some mistakes and miscues in the field, some errors, and just the overpowering ability of the Skutt Catholic offense. And that's a recipe for a 12-1 loss if you're the Hastings Tigers. Hastings put up their 1 run in the top of the 4th inning. They were aided by a couple of Jace Ziola walks. However, for Skutt Catholic, they did it consistently. 1 run in the first, 1 run in the second, 9 runs in the third, 1 run in the fourth, and that equals the 12th spot that they put up on the day. Our next game, which will get started approximately at 1 o'clock, we're still on schedule, obviously, but it'll get started approximately at 1 o'clock, is going to be the number 4 seed, the Waverly Vikings, heading up against the 5-seeded Gretna East Griffins as we continue Class B coverage today of the 2025 state baseball tournament. Austin Norman will join me once again later this afternoon. I might have some special guests stopping by the studio as well out here at Tal Anderson Field, so make sure you stay tuned. It's going to be a good day of baseball, and I would imagine that the remaining games will be a little more competitive than maybe what we saw this morning at 12-1 your final score. It's Waverly and Gretna East due up here in about an hour and 10 minutes or so. I will join you guys in an hour. I want to thank Harrison Arns back in our 93.7 The Ticket studios for pushing all the buttons, making sure we stay connected here out at Exarban Village in Omaha at Tal Anderson Field. Your final score, one more time. Skutt Catholic advances to the winner's bracket with a dominating 12-1 victory over the 8-seeded Hastings Tigers. Hastings will play one more game on Monday morning to decide if their stay at the state tournament is extended or if it's cut short here in just 2 games of play. We'll say so long for now from Tal Anderson Field. For Austin Norman, Nick Sainert saying so long. 12-1 Skutt. They win it here in the first game of the day.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my